Okay. Um, this is I'm lecturing, I guess, from the Gator room in my house. We're hunkered down here, so I'm doing this without notes. Hopefully, I'll cover everything. I don't want them to let me back in my office, but hopefully soon, so I can get the notes and make sure I cover everything before the test. But this lecture is on anxiety disorders, and my God, with everything going on, we produce a lot of anxiety. Hence, that's where the name anxiety disorders, because it produces anxiety. Um, Now, in the DSM 4, obsessive compulsive disorders and post traumatic stress syndrome were considered anxiety disorders. In the DSM 5, they're not. But if you take abnormal with me, I'll clear that confusion up. But anyway, there are four I want to talk about. One is phobias. Phobias are irrational fear, which means jumping out of an airplane without a parachute is not irrational. Being nervous about one of my tests is not irrational. Screaming when you see an apple is irrational. So it has to be an irrational fear. For instance, the third most common fear in the United States is acrophobia, which is a fear of spiders. I don't have that. Matter of fact, my mother believed, she was English, believed you killed a spider in the house, it was bad luck. So I was a spider wrangler. I mean, I had a glass and a little thing, and I would catch spiders and take them outside. But I'm terribly afraid of. Uh, we have a bug in Florida. It's a flying palmetto bug, and it scares the bejeebies out of you because in a Florida room, which is a basically uh, a porch with screened in, and have a light. Palmetto bugs would open the door, they would fly in and hit you in the face and stuff. Now, all they could do is probably lick you to death, but I'm really scared of those. So that's a phobia because they're not. I shouldn't be. I think most of us all have some kind of phobia. I notice a lot of you have a phobia of books because you won't read them. But anyway, we'll go on to that. So a phobia is an irrational fear. Now, the interesting thing in the United States is the number one fear is speaking in front of a large group. And that's the most common fear. That's number two is death. I don't understand that. Why you fear speaking in front of a large group over death. But anyway, so speaking in front of a large group, death, and scares of spiders, and then there's a whole list of other phobias. There's a million phobias. You name something, there's a phobia for it. The next thing is panic disorder. Now, a panic disorder is, but certain times panic is normal. I mean, if at a fire or if we're in class and somebody throws in a bomb or something, yeah, we're going to panic. But a panic disorder occurs when you lose all control. And a panic disorder is it has to happen at least twice a month, and you have to have a fear of having a panic attack. And one of the things of a panic attack is really bad is it's just like having a heart attack, which adds to the panic. So a panic disorder is you have to have that fear of having a new attack, and basically it is total loss of control. Now in the DSM-4 we had panic with agoraphobia. And agoraphobia is fear of being outside. But in the DSM-5, they've separated those two. So we can have panic disorder by itself and agoraphobia, which is a fear of going outside, which a lot of people have now because of the virus, of course. The third thing I want to talk about very quickly is GAD, general anxiety disorder. This is an anxiety disorder like my mother. I think my mother has some of this. Is that she worried about everything. So general anxiety disorder is a person who worries constantly, all the time. Now, anxiety disorders can be very minor. I think we all have some type of anxiety disorder, or they can be major. The reason why we start out with anxiety disorders is because they're usually a symptom of other major disorders. But they can be so severe they can be hospitalized for the disorder itself. The fourth one I want to talk about is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is no longer in DSM 5. It has its own category, but it doesn't matter. Obsessive compulsive disorder is you have an obsession. And that obsession is a thought you can't get out of your head. Remember when you were first in love with somebody, you thought about them 24/7, and you wonder what they were doing, what they were thinking. And then, start dating them, and then you get married, then you wish they would be gone. But anyway, um, uh, obsession is a thought that you have that you can't get out of your head. So compulsion is an activity to get rid of that thought. So don't get confused on the test. Obsession is a thought. Compulsion is an act to get rid of that thought. For instance, we have 48 steps to the third floor. Who counts? Well, I did. I guess that's a minor OCD. But OCD, our problem is that people have certain acts that may affect their lives. And so when it starts affecting our lives, then we have a kind of a problem. Also, I want to talk about, before we go on, is that we have 3 types of depression. We're going to talk about major depression later, but we have 3 types of depression. We have normal depression. Why is it normal? It's because everybody gets depressed, so it's normal. So you should enjoy your depression. Then we have major depression, which is severe. That's life-threatening, which we'll talk about later. And then we have depression of mood, or called the blues, which was first established for college students because you seem to get down for no reason at all. So normal depression is you get depressed because of something happened. A loss of something, a breakup, a fight, a loss of something, a death, a bad thing happening, like this virus is going on. And so you have something in the environment that caused a depression. And it usually lasts for 2 or 3 days, and you come out of it. Major depression lasts for a long, long time and is life-threatening. Depression of mood is you really don't have something specifically that caused you depressed. You just get in a malaise. And we used to think that was just college students, and now we know it's everybody. But anyway, so those are the 3. Now, the symptoms, now write this down, the symptoms of depression, they're the same for all 3. It's just a severity. So the only difference is severity. Now, there are 6 symptoms of depression. I'm going to ask you this. One is, that people don't want to do anything. And when a person's depressed, you should leave them depressed. Don't take them to a party because they don't want to go and they just bring it down for you. Just check on them and let them enjoy their depression. Another sign of depression, and the main one, is sleepiness problems. Because people who are depressed have a hard time sleeping because they don't get delta waves. So this is why people depressed don't do very much, because one of the reasons they're tired. The third is low activity. They don't want to do anything. 4 is they don't eat. And this is the only difference. Here's a question coming. On depression of mood, what do? We eat. That's the only difference in the behaviors. And so there's your freshman 15. Depression of mood, you're depressed at school, you start eating stuff. Other depressions, they don't eat. And of course, there's a feeling of worthlessness. And so we should be more positive about our friends. And we talked about lack of activity, sleep, and I'm forgetting one. I'm going to have to look at my notes for that, but I'll get back to you on the next, hopefully on the next lecture on that. So hopefully I'll get another lecture out tomorrow. So enjoy this one. Don't forget to take notes when you take the test. You can open book, open notes, so you want to have your notes right there so you can answer the questions. All right. Stay happy, stay positive, do something constructive, and we'll see you soon.